This is a booklet which Alex over here edited for Venus over Manhattan. But because the text is so small and so pinky, I can hardly read it. So I brought the typewritten text, which is jumping all over. Anyway, no, it's okay. It's okay. And it is part of this is a long series of prose poems, which actually tell you the entire history of the bubble machines. So this part is only very early, so called the bubble machine. Sometimes my eyes become lacrimose, tiny bubbles mix with my tears, whether I am happy or sad. Jimmy Dean made me laugh when he threw popcorn over his mouth. That was the actor James Dean, and created a fountain in the air. Give it a try, he said. Open your mouth. Instantly, he threw some popcorn over my open lips. I was not fast enough. The popcorn fell over my face. A few stuck to my sweaty cheeks. Jimmy licked them off. Delicious, he said. You are delicious, I replied, and gave Jimmy a quick kiss. We both laughed and hugged each other with delight. That was in New York in 1954 when I was alive. 8 years later, I was in Scotland, in Paddy's Bar on Rose Street. I met Viv McCory, a young writer who also played the trumpet. An instant friendship sprung between us. We plied each other with drinks. We said hello to Hugh MacDiarmid, the celebrated Scottish poet. When the pub closed, Viv invited me to go with him to stay the night at his parents' place in Leith. The morning after, I met his parents, both teachers, who welcomed me warmly to their home. We had breakfast of smoked herring and porridge. It was Sunday. The pubs were closed. The law said alcoholic drinks can only be served on Sunday in restaurants and hotels to foreign tourists visiting Scotland. Viv said, "Hey, David, you are a foreign tourist." "No, I'm not," I protested. "Yes, you are. Come with me." Together we made our way to a brewery on the rock near Edinburgh Castle. The brewers welcomed us because we were traveling tourists. They showed us how beer was brewed. I watched the foam and froth bubbling in the large copper vats. Sufficiently inebriated, laughing, Viv and I raced downhill from the castle rock and uphill to Arthur's Seat. We laid our young bodies side by side on the green grass and watched in silence the passing clouds overhead. My lachrymose eyes oozed with bubbles and tears. Tiny rainbows raced down my cheeks. Memories buried by many years appeared in my slightly dozy head. I was a child during the Second World War. My father was a guerrilla who joined a resistance group based in Makiling Mountain. On our birthdays and festival days, my father came to see us in our home in Manila. One Holy Week, he visited us bearing a large jackfruit from the mountain and a small sack of plantain, sweet potatoes, and purple yam. At dawn on Easter Sunday, cries and gunshots tore the morning air. Japanese soldiers were chasing someone. "The Kempetai are chasing someone," said my father. We were silent for a long time. After the Kempetai had gone, we went to our garden. My sister Solita held me in her arms. We followed our parents to a hibiscus shrub inside the wooden fence. A young man who worked with the resistance group had come down from a killing mountain to warn my parents that the Japanese military police were going to arrest my father. The young man had been shot. He was dying. I saw tiny bubbles coming out of his mouth, tiny rainbows mixed with blood, as red as the hibiscus flower above him. Years later, the Allies defeated the evil Axis powers. On the eve of independence of my native Philippines, I caught malaria and smallpox. Quinine tablets provided by the American soldiers cured my malaria. Native medicine from herbs provided by a woman friend of my mother cured me of smallpox. While I was recuperating from my illness, I watched my mother cooking ginataan, tropical fruits cooked in coconut cream. I watched slices of jackfruit, plantains, sweet potatoes, and purple yam bubbling in the coconut cream. Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling. This will give you strength, said my mother, as she handed me a bowl of ginataan, still bubbling with coconut cream. Spring winds gathered the clouds in prismatic sacks and sealed into the distant sky. I said goodbye to Viv, rooting with steam columns of vertical clouds. The Flying Scotsman brought me back to London town. One evening, inside the William Defoe pub in Hampstead, I met Paul Keeler. A strong bond began between us. Structure vivant, mobile image. This was the title of an exhibition of kinetic art which Paul was invited to curate at the Redfern Gallery in Cork Street. After he saw my first bubble machine and my first smoke machine, Paul invited me to be in the show of kinetic art he was invited to curate. One Sunday afternoon, from the balcony on Rovigny Mansions, where I was working on my kinetic sculptures, I watched a couple of old horses pull a funeral coach from the workhouse across the courtyard into Baker Street. It was a dismal sight. The gloom disappeared after the coach had left. A quiet joy pervaded my spirit when I held my first bubble machine against the bright sunlight. The height of my first bubble machine was the same height as my index finger. I recall the job I did for Man Ray in Paris. After midnight, I walked Man Ray from the Bistro Saint-Georges on the Rue de Canet, plus the Place Saint-Sulpice, to his home at Saint-Cloud. I placed my finger on the minuterie and waited until Man Ray called from the top of the stairs, "I'm in bed!" The signal for me to withdraw my finger from the rubber button in the center of the brass plate. Bent like a blind Bedouin, his legs enclosed my arms, hands clasped in a firm embrace, I watched Adam Nankervis move his closed eyes sideways back and forth across his knees. Behind him was the stone Sphinx with giant wings, the monument Jacob Epstein sculpted in memory of Oscar Wilde. Adam and I were at Père Lachaise, the cemetery in Paris. A gentle breeze caressed the leaves of verdant trees. Sunlight filtered through the branches of the trees in ribbons of silver and gold. After his ablutions, I asked Adam, what was he doing? He replied with a smile as serene as the morning light. I watched phosphine visions emerge from the electric charge released by my closed eyelids. What did you see? I asked. The deaths of stars, the birth of the universe, he answered. Fractals, spiral nebulae, galaxies, bubbles of light. He continued as we walked out of Père Lachaise. Inside the Centre Pompidou at the Place Beaubourg, Adam and I went to see Langform, the exhibition curated by Rosalind Krauss and Eve Alamor. James Moore sent one of my bubble machines to that show. Adam noticed that the bubbles were diminishing because of lack of water. He found a ladder and a bucket. He filled the bucket with water and ascended the ladder and gently poured buckets of water into the bubble machine. Years later, at another vacant space, the experimental art showroom which Adam Nankervis founded and directs at Wiesenthaler Straße in Berlin, I watched Adam climb a ladder and from a bucket gently pour water into the tubes of cloud canyons. Slowly, the tubes produce ephemeral sculptures of white foam, prismatic bubbles that floated gently in the air. So you see that as this explains where it came from, life and death.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. So you see, all of life and death is like a bubble. But it's constantly. This is only one part. It's a whole.
This is the biggest one I've ever seen.